You know, I don't even know how to start getting views on this. I'm at 300, like 339, 340 subscribers, and it was hard to get that. Like a couple times I got videos do pretty good, 15,000 views or something, and I'd get 50, 60, 80 subscribers, and then lately it's been like 5 a week. You know, it's and the videos aren't changing much. I'm just trying to get better. The look is better. The thumbnails are better. Um, for a while, I was able to do like I did a Mike Campbell, a Keith Richards, a Rupert Neve video. Those all three did well, and but you know, if you put in clips of like the one video I had clips of Mike Campbell playing with Tom Petty, you know, like it was a really cool video. It's a really cool video. Go check that one out. It's called The Legend of Mike Campbell. Um, but it's, you know, they want to hit you with copyright claims and all that just if you play somebody's music, you know, which is kind of understandable, but it's like, man, I'm just trying to give Mike props and say, look, you know, you're part of the reason I want to play music, you know. And I think a lot of other people feel that way too. That's why the video got good views, you know. Let's talk about sync licensing because that's something I'm really interested in. And if you're watching this later and you sync music, tell me what, you know, how that's worked out for you. Because if I thought, you know, that it would really be productive and I would be able to get some briefs and get on some projects, I wouldn't have a problem paying the money, you know, to like Taxi or whatever, to get my music out there that way. Um, you know, I'm pretty good at getting the theatric type sounds with my recording with my DAW. You know, I make a lot of rock music, but I'm pretty good with the sound libraries and stuff as well. Um, let's talk about this Les Paul for a minute. This Les Paul, okay. Um, let's play it too. Tom Murphy was involved. People in the late 80s were starting to want reissue 59s, 58s, 57 gold tops. And Murphy was doing it before he was really with Gibson. You know, he was relicking Les Pauls off the shelf, I guess. And then Gibson got in touch with him. And he started doing these. Well, in the early days, there was just, I think, the 59 R9s. Before they were called R9s, there were 59 reissues, probably dating back to, I know there was some in the 80s, but it was different from when they actually started the line and kept it rolling. They did like a couple years where they released them, and then before it was actually every year, you know, a production thing. And I'd say that started around 92, 93, maybe 91, something like that, early 90s. And in those days, and that's when I got this guitar. I got this one in 95. It's a 95. And there was a thing called, and I think there is dealer custom, like you can get those Wildwood custom guitars. You know, you can get CME custom shop Gibsons. But the only way you could get one of these in 95, because they didn't go into regular production, this is a 54 reissue. The only modification I've done to this is it has a Music City bridge. And even with the Music City bridge right now, the E, B, and G strings are being a little, because of the humidity, and I've done a little work to the nut, a little bit of filing, but just certain times of the year it doesn't want to stay in tune as well, you know. But I deal with it. Before I play a part, every time I'll tune it up again, you know. But it's like you bend a string and it sticks. It's something to do with the nut and the humidity. It is what it is, you know. Gibsons just don't stay in tune for me like Fenders. Maybe some people can get them to do it, but a lot of people have problems. But this was from a shop called Music Warehouse in Louisville, Kentucky. And Music Warehouse was on Bardstown Road, right by Steak and Shake, if you know anything about Louisville. They were a very cool music store. They had a lot of custom shop guitars on the wall, like Gibson Custom Shop. They let me play, the day I bought this, I played a Jimmy Page Les Paul, one of those ones. It was a very cool one. I almost got that, and then I played this. It worked out where I ended up getting a couple of guitars instead of the Jimmy Page, and this was one of them. And so what the dealers would do is order the guitars straight from Gibson to their spec, whatever they wanted. And as far as I know, this is just a 54, like standard spec 54 guitar, and it sounded better really than anything else I played that day. So it's the one I got, and I also got a 54 reissue Strat. It just worked out that way. Got a really good deal on both of them, but if you look up in like if you Google Gibson years and everything, the first 54 reissues didn't come out like as a production thing until 96. You won't see any, like if you try and look up your serial number, it doesn't really show anything till 96, and that's because these were custom dealer ordered on very limited quantities. And so I don't know how many 54s were made in 95. I'd say there were a few. I remember seeing an Aerosmith video, maybe Crying, something like that, off of Get a Grip, and Joe Perry was playing one of these. It might not have had a pick guard, I can't remember, but I really dug that guitar in that video, and that was about that time. And also the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, Brian Jones was playing one of these, but his was, I think, when they came back out with the 69s, like 68, 69 customs and gold tops, his was one of those, I think. And so I really loved the looks of this guitar from those. And then when I played it, it was just like, wow, But let's play something here. See, you can tell I had no warm-up time because I don't even remember that little part of bringing it home. It's like... I was thinking lately maybe a live stream would be a good way to do a studio tour, because I've been wanting to do a studio tour video. There's another piece of gear I want to get real soon. I'd kind of like to do it before I do a studio tour, which would take me up to 16 channels from 8. I'm talking about probably the SSL, the new 8 channel. I think it's the SSL 12 or something like that. I forget what it's called, but that new SSL 8-channel interface, I'm digging that one. And so I think we might use that along with what I got to take the studio to 16 channels. And it seemed like after then would be a good time to do a studio tour, but shit, we might do one on one of these live streams. I got lots of pedals over here. I got 2 amps, the Mesa and a 67 Twin. I got a bass. I usually play the bass DI because I can do a lot with it in the DAW to get the sounds like I want. I've got a rack with some gear in it over here, 1176, 1073, some Abbey Road preamps. Got more pedals on the floor, more pedals up here that I both mix with and play guitar with. Got a little bit of monitoring up there. These 2 guitars. I want to put another humbucker guitar in the studio, either an SG or another Les Paul, or possibly a 335, something Gibson with humbuckers. And always building the mic collection, trying to do that. This is actually from a 9-piece drum kit. The rest of the drums are being stored right now. It's a double kick drum kit. That's also around the same time as these guitars, 1993 Ludwig Super Classics. The Ludwig drums, great sounding recording drums. Huge, more like concert tom sizes. That's a 10-inch snare drum, 10 inches deep. It's crazy. I want to get a Superphonic 2 to have a different flavor. I'd say maybe I'd even use a Superphonic more, but if you want a really woody snare sound, that 10-inch Ludwig, I don't think they make them no more, but it's great, man. It's cool, and it'll take EQ pretty well. I don't know. If there's anybody in the chat, write something. Let's talk, man. I love to play in open G. Another cool thing I have is this Bigsby pedal on the floor, so I can immediately drop to like baritone. Or I can go up, like an octave up. It's great for like octave fuzz. I'll use it with like my tone bender or my Sunface. There's a little bit of micro pitch on this pedal. It's cool to have a pedal with like some micro shift in it, because that's a great sound. I've thought about putting that one in the mix, and using it on vocals just for the micro shift instead of using Sound Toys, or that's what I usually use to get that micro pitch shift on my vocals. Let's try the new Healy. It's not that new anymore, but it came out when the Beach Boys movie came out. Healy's also got the new rotary pedal, but this one's called I Get Around, which is a rotary. I love that slow Leslie. I love the fast Leslie. I just love Leslie. I have a pt2 Boss. It gets a cool Leslie sound, but this real Leslie sound, I've been on it lately. It's made, I think, my last 2 songs, both songs since I've got it that I've released. You know, like I said, not much time to practice, especially when I'm practicing covers, because I'm always writing. I just got to a point where once I learned most of the other people's music that I wanted to learn, now don't get me wrong, sometimes a song will come on and I'll pick it out right away instantly and like have it in my head and play it when I get home, when I first pick up the guitar. Other times I'll sit down and learn one. I've even learned like stuff off from YouTubers. Like I learned a Christmas song that a YouTuber did and played that because it was really cool. But usually, man, I'm just in creative mode, you know, and I'll start out with usually electric guitar parts, sometimes acoustic, sometimes even a bass, and build a song off that, you know. Sometimes I'll have a little, like, one line of a lyric and start building off of that, just different things. It's good to switch up your process of where you start writing from, I think. I think it lends to being, you know, stepping outside, like each project not sounding like the one before. If you do it, start in different ways. I hope, I'm just thinking about the live stream saying that, you know, it was getting glitchy or whatever. I'm hoping that, like, when you go back and watch it, it's not too messed up where people check out if they do click on the video to watch later. Because, you know, I don't like to ramble. All this stuff is like what I'm doing always, you know. When my son's asleep, I'm in here making music. I've got all the cable and Netflix and, you know, all the shit, but I don't watch it. You know, it's for him, Disney Plus, all this stuff, because I'm always, when he goes to bed, I'm in here recording. That's what I do, you know. I feel like I'm a little bit making up for lost time because I couldn't have all this gear in the 90s or the 2000s, early 2000s. Now that I have it, I've worked hard to get it, and I want to make music with it, you know? So that's what I do. I want to, like, do one of these live streams, and, like, I could do it right now. I've got it all set up where I can, you know, do screen captures, and y'all can see what I'm recording in the DAW. But the only problem with it, it's like if I'm going to do a vocal or something like that, the vocal is going to sound real raw because I have to, since I'm only using one computer, I have to do it in a way where it hits the live stream before it hits the effects in the DAW. Because if it hits the effects first in the DAW, it'll be late. There'll be a lot of latency, and it'll make the stream look messed up. But if I had, you know, like a H3000 or a H90 that I could mix through, you know, to get micro pitch on my vocals, you know, it would just take, I've got some hardware where I can make this sound good. Like this microphone's going through an 1176 compressor, a real 1176 Audioscape. And then it's going into the BAE 1073, then into the Audioscape compressor. Then it's going back into another mic preamp, the Chandler TG2, because the Chandler is one of the few mic preamps that I've found that will sum. So it'll sum the 2 channels down and to 1 channel, but you can send it out of both channels. You can send it out of the, you know, the left and the right channel, the same signal. Because if you don't have that and you're unless you're going into inputs 1 and 2, which that's how I'm doing it. But my mic preamps are on other channels. You know, it's even going into 1 and 2. If you're not summing some kind of way, if you're not summing before you go into channels 1 and 2, then whatever's on channel 1 of your interface is going to be in your left ear. Whatever's in channel 2 is going to be on your right. I've got this all going down the middle because of that summing. So it's a very important feature on there if you're going to be doing live streaming and you want to be doing it with pro audio gear like studio quality streaming. You need something to, because OBS will only let you, you know, run to 2 channels like a stereo mix to OBS, and you can't have those not summed either from a mixer or a console. That's why a lot of times, all the time, people are submixing some kind of way before they stream, before they go into the computer, because the sound will be fucked up if you don't, you know. And just so happens those mic preamps, in lieu of like a $50,000 console or, you know, whatever it is, some kind of summing box, however people are doing it. I know there's a lot of people that have a console and a second computer. So, you know, I feel like it was a lot of money for this gear, but I found like I'm feeling better about it now, because I didn't even really buy that with that in mind, but I found out that it does that, and it makes it where streaming's possible. So it's another benefit that I just recently found out. I knew it's summed, but I was thinking about it more like summing 2 mics down to 1 channel for recording in the DAW, like a 57 and a Royer R10 like I have, summing them down, submixing them so I don't have to have it on 2 channels in the DAW. I wasn't even thinking about streaming, so it's just another added benefit. Play in like open tunings, alternate tunings. I love to play in like open G or open E. I love to play slide, but you know, for the live streams, it's just a lot. Like I only have 2 guitars here. If I had more guitars, I'd switch it up. I love drop D. Bagad isn't something I've used a whole lot, but I like it. I feel like, you know, if you're in a rut, switch tunings. It's a great way to get out of a rut, you know. And just play through the rut. That's what you have to do. Just keep going. Play through the rut. Put on a new song to learn. Write a new song. The best songs are simple songs. I try and write pretty simply. But it is good to put sixths and sevenths and, harmony, you know, harmony and being melodic with your playing. See if I wrote anything else that would be good to talk about. Oh, you know what? Like, subscribe, comment. Yeah. Mics, man, are just great. If you can afford to get, some different mics, all you need is one. But if you can afford to get a couple 57s, depending on what you're recording, you need some different things if you're doing drums. If you're doing electric guitars, get a 57 and get some kind of ribbon mic, man. It's great. Or get a different kind of dynamic. Get a 421, or get a what is it? The big, like they use on toms, the Sennheiser mic. Or get I think it's 421. Get a different kind of dynamic. There's an Audix i5. I have one of those too. That's my crotch mic. It sounds a lot like a 57, but maybe a little bit less pushed in the mid range. It's cool. And put them at different angles on the cone. That'll really switch up the sound. Put them at different places on the speaker cone. Or for me, like, this ribbon is really blowing me away. It's the Royer R10. It's about half the price of the 121. And, it's great. Like, they say the 121's brighter, but you can flip them both, the 121 and the R10, around to the back side. I think you have to flip the phase as well, and it'll give you a brighter sound. But for me, that's what's great about a ribbon, is it's a little bit darker. It's got that low end. It's like adding some low end EQ, and it takes EQ really well if you do want to add some 10K or 5K to it, some higher end frequencies. It takes EQ really well, and they're very natural sounding. That's what's great about them. Natural sounding, but great sounding. I'd love to get a Coles mic. They're supposed to be really great, or one of the AEA mics too. Ribbons, I'm just really, since I've gotten one, I like ribbons and condensers both. I feel like condensers have this energy, especially for vocals. Condensers, man, is where it's at. And they also just have this energy on drums that's a different energy than the ribbons, but you can get a killer sound with both. It's good to have both options. These are sound a lot like it's supposed to be a clone of a Neumann U87, basically. It's a twin 87, so it's got a vintage and a modern Neumann 87 AI mic, they're called, which are the newer 87s. It's got both those in there. And United just came out with a United Twin 48, which gives you characteristics of a U47 and a U48. It's a bit more expensive than this mic. I think it's $1,500, but I'd love to get that one, because everybody says good things about this 87, and I feel like they probably did just as well with the 48/47 clone that they have. And this one, man, I won't use anything else on my vocals as of yet. If I got that 47 mic, or I'm really into, I've heard great things about these Peluso mics and the way they're built, and a lot like a Neumann. They're pricey, but they're good. They're not as pricey as a vintage mic. I like that top end that a 87 has. The 67s and the 47s, probably not as much of that high end. It's maybe more in the mid range, but for my voice especially, I need a little bit of that top end lift. and it's great. It's like a clarity that these microphones have, and the ribbons are a different thing, but equally as beneficial and equally as crucial to have in the studio. They're great, you know. And I'm no pro at this. I make good sounding music, I think. It's out there, it's sounding good. You can check it out, judge for yourself. But I can make things sound good, and you know, I like these mics that are a little more affordable but still great and do the things that the vintage mics do. I think, you know, for the most part. Of course, there's going to be some gap there, but I think they're close, you know. When I listen to something I know that was recorded on an 87, it usually doesn't sound far off from the way this mic sounds. So you can just research microphones before you start going and dropping a lot of money. If you have the cash, go do it, you know, but research mics. There's a lot of great options. Peluso, these United Twin mics, United Studio Technology mics. There's a lot of people, you know, these Heiserman mics. Just a lot of people are making cool mics. Even the, like, what's the one where they also, like the Mini K47, those mics. Those are cool. They're only about $300 for a cool condenser mic, you know. What is it? They do the Amethyst and the Black Hole mic, and they're a cool mic company too. They're overseas, but they do cool mics. They always sound great when I hear them on something. Alright, I'm not gonna noodle. But I don't know, guys. We're about an hour in right now. I don't want to be much over that, so let's call it a night. Hopefully the live stream didn't get too glitchy. If it did, maybe you'll ride it out. I guess you'll be watching this later if you're seeing it. Happy Saturday night. Go, you know, do what you do on a Saturday night. I'm doing what I do on a Saturday night. Peace and love.